All right, we're in.
We're
I
in.
would
Hired.
love that. Good.
You
Good.
can direct.
Well, sometimes we FaceTime, sometimes we Zoomed.
We irritate the living shit out of each other.
And I burst out of my room in my underwear. And they were panicking. The place was filling with smoke. You're like Superman. You just come out in your underwear and save the day.
This movie is so full of fun and action, but I would honestly watch a movie that's just set in Lois' apartment where the two of you just come back from work or saving the world and then just talk and argue.
Maybe we could do like a 3-camera, sitcom of just that.
I was gonna say, or like a
Like a WandaVision thing.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. All right, we're in.
We're
I
in.
would
Hired.
love that. Good.
You
Good.
can direct.
I need some help, but we can do it. How did you manage to get this chemistry just right? How did you approach that?
We irritate the living shit out of each other.
We had great conversations. Long before we actually started prepping for the film in earnest, we had a couple of meals in person and a couple of video calls where we were talking about the script.
Video calls.
Yeah.
Like we FaceTimed.
Well, sometimes we FaceTimed, sometimes we Zoomed. And I didn't feel like
That
it was
was
worth
so
taking the time to
old-fashioned.
video call. Is so old fashioned. Yeah, it's
Felt like-
back in the 60s when we were video calling.
Sorry. Keep going.
We had so many great conversations where we talked about the script and got to know each other and revealed a little bit about our processes to each other. My process is very irritating. So part of the way we built this chemistry was I started, I got brave enough to start irritating Rachel before we had to work together. So she knew what she was in for, is what I'm saying.
I did know what I was in for. We have a lot in common, actually. We're both pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We're both pretty unsensitive, I think, about most things to do with that process. And so I think we just had this really honest and very open relationship from the jump. And it was really fun to keep deepening it and building these characters together. That part was easy, which is such a gift. It's not always easy.
And your Superman potential had been noticed earlier in your life, you said. Can you tell me about this fire alarm situation with your roommates?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite memories from I think the summer before my second year of school.
You didn't say it.
I was living with two roommates and
At Juilliard.
yeah, and they were cooking. They were cooking at like 11 p.m. As you do when you're at school. It's the only time you have to cook. And we had just moved into the apartment, and the smoke alarm started going off, and I knew that they didn't know how to silence it, and I did. So I was in my room, and I burst out of my room in my underwear. And they were panicking. The place was filling with smoke, and the smoke alarm is so loud. And I just deftly grabbed a chair, stood on it, and pressed the little button that hushes it. And my roommate sort of laughed at me and went, "You're like Superman. You just come out in your underwear and save the day." And I really liked that because it wasn't a terribly heroic moment. It was just that I was so excited in that moment that I had the solution, that I could like save them in this moment of panic. And then I was also in my underwear, which I think helped.
For the full effect.
Yeah.
This movie starts when Superman just lost his first fight, which I think is a great place to start a story. Did you have a moment like that in your careers where you were all crushed and had to put yourself back together and think about why you're doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a regular Tuesday
I
for
was
me.
gonna say, happens all the time still.
Yeah, I think I don't know whether I have a specific story that I could share, but it's a big part of the life of an actor, learning how to get your hopes and dreams dashed, or you realize that you should have never been hoping and dreaming it to begin with. And,
Pick yourself back up and show up again. I worked on a project when I was really young. It was one of my first big projects that it wasn't so big in the end, but it felt big in the moment. And we shot out of the country, and it was a really terrible process. It was, there were some huge safety issues on the set. It was, I was made to feel at various points in the process very small. And in a way that I had never experienced before, and thankfully haven't experienced since.
I make you feel pretty small.
Well, in a different way, but it was really terrible. I would go home at night just wondering if I was really cut out for this, if this is what it was like, and if I had any business being a part of this. And And then thankfully that project came out and had one of the most scathing reviews I've ever read in my entire life. And there was just this huge relief going, you know, I can do it. My gut about what was happening here wasn't wrong. And I'm gonna keep showing up.
And she has.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you so much.
congratulations on the movie.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it. Lovely to
much.
meet you.